Level 1, Spanner Boy. You burst from the damp, fungal earth of a backwater war zone with red mud smeared across your emerald skin and an itching sensation in the back of your mind. You do not know your name, nor do you care, but while other freshly spawned orcs reach instinctively for rusted meat cleavers and clubbing irons, your hands reach for a discarded gear casing. The ancient genetic programming coded into your DNA by forgotten space gods hums to life. You do not learn mechanics, you remember them. You do not study physics, you feel its raw, noisy truth in your bones. Before you can finish admiring the jagged teeth of the iron cog, a hulking shadow falls over you. A full-grown Mekboy grabs you by the ear, drags you into a suffocating shed built from burned-out engine blocks, and shoves a heavy spanner into your clawed hands. You are a Spanner Boy now, the lowest rung of the Ork mechanical caste. Your life is a non-stop blur of screaming, hot oil, blinding sparks, and brutal beatings. When the head mech wants a rivet hammered into a truck frame, you hammer it. When he drops a boiling plasma pipe, you catch it with your bare skin or face his iron-shod boot. Yet amidst the bruises and deafening roar of the workshop, you thrive. You learn the sacred weight of scrap. You discover that if you tighten a bolt just enough, the metal screams in a tone that means it will hold during a high-speed crash. You watch the older mechs build guns that defy every law of imperial physics, relying on sheer belief, heavy hammer blows, and sloshing buckets of promethium. You steal spare copper wiring, hide discarded exhaust pipes beneath your sleeping squig, and secretly fashion your very first crude wrench. You are small, kicked around by every passing knob, but every time an engine backfires and blows off a grot's leg, your heart beats with wild, ecstatic inspiration. You are learning the song of the machine, and it is glorious. Level 2, Mekboy. You have grown larger, meaner, and immensely louder. The old boss who used to beat you met an unfortunate end when one of his experimental shock coils violently detonated, leaving a vacant workbench under a leaky iron tarp, a bench you claimed by smashing your nearest rival's skull with an iron wrench. You are now a fully recognized Mekboy. You no longer merely carry the spanners, you wield the torch. Around your waist hangs a clutter of crude tools, heavy hammers, sparking arc welders, pliers carved from tank treads, and leather pouches brimming with teeth stolen from dead orcs or pulled from your own mouth to buy better scrap. Grots scurry around your feet like panicked rodents, and you kick them with practiced efficiency whenever an engine needs priming or a hot shell casing needs clearing by hand. Boys from the local mobs line up outside your workshop, chanting for more firepower. You build shouldas that belch thick black smoke, rivet extra armor plates onto battered buggies, and fine-tune engines until they roar like enraged squigs. You do not use blueprints, you build by feel. If a cannon looks like it needs another barrel, you weld one on. If a truck needs to go faster, you paint it bright red, knowing with absolute, unshakable certainty that red ones go faster. And because you believe it, and the boys believe it, the engine screams with impossible speed. You spend your nights in a haze of arc flash blindness and fuel fumes, grinning through a mouth of jagged teeth as you invent new ways to deliver explosive death. You are no longer just surviving the workshop. You are its master, turning the galaxy's trash into the Warbus's deadliest weapons. Level 3, Custom Craftsman. The standard shouldas and chopped-up trucks no longer satisfy the raging fire of creation burning inside your brain. You have become a custom craftsman, a legendary artisan of violent scrap, whose reputation spans the entire warband. Knobs and war bosses travel across war-torn continents just to trade massive sacks of pristine teeth for your personalized creations. You no longer just repair iron. You warp it into terrifying masterpieces. You invent custom mega blasters that shoot brilliant, unstable bolts of superheated star matter, weapons so dangerous they occasionally melt the arms off the boys firing them, a minor flaw you dismiss as user error. You construct burnas that vaporize light infantry in clouds of sticky, unquenchable chemical fire, and rocket launches that spiraling through the air on erratic, wildly unpredictable trajectories that always seem to hit the enemy command tank right in its fuel hatch. When a warband knob loses an arm to Space Marine bolter fire, he comes to your slab. You do not bother with delicate medical procedures. You bolt a massive, piston-driven buzzsaw directly into his bone sockets. wiring the nerve endings straight into an electric battery. The patient screams, the motor revs, and a new monster walks out of your workshop. Your mind is a constantly bubbling cauldron of energy, lightning, and steel. You look at a pristine, high-tech piece of Eldar skimmer armor or a captured Imperial heavy laser, and your first instinct is not to admire it, but to smash it apart with a sledgehammer and rebuild it into something louder, dirtier, and infinitely more lethal. Level 4, Big Mech. You have outgrown your workbench, your shed, and the petty squabbles of ordinary mechs. You are a big mech, a towering warlord of iron and grease, draped in a massive suit of custom mega armor that you designed and built yourself. Piston-driven hydraulics hiss with every step you take, and exhaust stacks mounted on your shoulders belch thick, oily clouds that darken the sky above you. Lesser Mekboys bow to your superior genius, or get crushed beneath your armored gauntlets. You command an entire corps of engineers, cyber-enhanced grots, and riveters. Instead of fighting on foot like a common orc, you ride into battle wrapped in an impenetrable bubble of shimmering energy generated by the custom force field strapped to your spine. Enemy artillery shells, high-power laser beams, and anti-tank rockets slap against your blue energy dome, fizzling harmlessly into ambient heat while you laugh hysterically through your Vox grill. Your vision has expanded from individual weapons to battlefield dominance. You scavenge the shattered remains of Imperial Lehman Russ tanks, Space Marine Land Raiders, and super heavy siege engines, ripping out their reactor cores and welding their hulls together to create monstrous battle wagons that crush infantry under massive spiked rollers. You don't just supply the WAAAGH, you dictate how it moves, how it hits, and how loud it sounds when it shatters the enemy line. War bosses consult you as an equal, knowing that while they possess the muscle to lead the boys, you possess the brutal iron genius that turns a mere mob of green skins into an unstoppable, mechanized engine of total galactic conquest. Level 5, Shokk Specialist. As your mechanical madness deepens, ordinary energy fields and high-explosive shells become utterly mundane. You turn your obsessive intellect toward the most terrifying, unhinged weapon in the Ork arsenal, reality itself. You become a Shokk Specialist, master of the feared Shokk attack gun. The weapon resting on your armored shoulder is a chaotic nightmare of spinning copper coils, vacuum tubes, bubbling liquid containers, and exposed warp conduits. It does not fire bullets, rockets, or plasma. It rips a localized tear through space-time, opening a microscopic tunnel straight through the madness of the warp itself to a destination point inside the enemy's positions. To feed this terrifying portal, your assistant grots wrangle squirming sacks of terrified snotlings, tiny, sniveling orcoids. You shove a screaming snotling into the gun's suction funnel. The creature is dragged through the horrifying dimension of chaos gods and demons in a fraction of a second, driving the small creature utterly insane before rematerializing inside the enemy's ranks. You aim the massive brass funnel at a unit of heavily armored Space Marine Terminators. You pull the trigger. The air smells of ozone and cooked flesh as a vortex opens. Moments later, inside the sealed, impenetrable power armor of the enemy commander, a frenzy-crazed snotling materializes directly within his thoracic cavity, tearing wildly at organs and wiring in a panic. The super soldier collapses from the inside out, his priceless relic armor bursting open with screaming, clawing green madness. You howl with laughter at the sheer, beautiful absurdity of it all. You have converted pure cosmic horror into the ultimate galactic punchline. Level 6, Gargant Builder. The war boss approaches you with a vision sent straight from the Ork gods, Ork and Mork. He wants a walking mountain of iron to crush a hive city, and only you possess the madness required to bring such an abomination to life. You are elevated to Gargant Builder. For months, an entire region of a conquered world is transformed into a blinding, deafening mega foundry. Thousands of grots die falling from soaring iron scaffoldings. Hundreds of Mekboys work until their hands are fused to their tools. You supervise the construction of a Gargant, a walking, starship-scale metal god shaped in the crude, terrifying image of Ork and Mork. You harvest armor plating from fallen Imperial Titans, starship hulls ripped from orbit, and the structural beams of collapsed skyscrapers. The machine stands hundreds of feet tall, its legs thick as fortress towers, its belly housing a cannon capable of leveling mountain ranges in a single strike. You personally install the brain of the beast, a cockpit packed with dials, dangling wires, hydraulic levers, and glowing view screens. When you pull the primary ignition switch, nuclear reactors stolen from captured hive cities scream to life, shaking the tectonic plates of the planet beneath your feet. You take the controls, stepping into the sky as a mortal orc transformed into a mechanical deity. As your Gargant marches forward, its crushing footsteps flattened entire armored divisions, while its super-gattlers paint the horizon in fire. You realize that you are no longer just building machines of war. You are forging the very gods of destruction. Level 7, Arch-Mekaniak. You have transcended individual battlefields and regional war zones. You are an Arch-Mekaniak, an industrial mastermind whose mechanical influence spans entire star systems. You do not merely build Gargants. You construct industrial Armageddons that strip planets clean of their mineral wealth in weeks. Whole worlds are surrendered to your forge hives. Captured Imperial tech priests are dragged before your throne, their delicate, pristine blueprints snatched from their cold, cybernetic hands and redesigned by your crude, brutal genius. Where they see dangerous tech heresy, you see obvious improvements. You crossbreed alien technology, warp reactors, and brute force, creating monstrosities that shock the galaxy's oldest races. You build rocks, hollowed-out asteroids fitted with massive sublight thrusters, heavy force fields, and deck upon deck of artillery cannons, and launch them through the void like world-killing missiles to smash into enemy planets. You design continent-spanning scrap cities that process captured war gear into fresh fleets of battle wagons in a matter of hours. Your body is now far more machine than flesh. Your eyes are multi-lens targeting reticles. Your spine is a reinforced steel column, and your brain is directly hardwired into a massive network of scrap reactors and automated repair drones. Rival mechs from distant sectors travel to bow before your supreme authority, offering mountains of shiny scrap metal and captured starships just to learn a fraction of your technical madness. You hold the logistics of a sector-ending crusade in your iron grip, steering the tide of endless war with every push of a hydraulic piston. Level 8, WAAAGH Engine Lord. You have reached the absolute apex of Ork technological dominance. You are a WAAAGH Engine Lord, a terrifying amalgamation of flesh, steel, and cosmic destruction, standing as the undisputed lord of an endless, galaxy-spanning mechanical crusade. You no longer ride inside a vehicle. You are the vehicle. Your physical form is a towering, biomechanical nightmare woven into the superstructure of a planet-sized scrap fortress cruising through the cold void of space. Thousands of ships, modified asteroid craft, and roaring dreadnought cruisers sail in your wake, forming a fleet so vast it blots out the light of distant suns. You do not speak through a throat, but through sector-spanning Vox arrays that vibrate the hulls of every ship in your fleet with your booming, mechanical voice. Before your unstoppable advance, ancient star-faring civilizations crumble into ash. Holy forge worlds of the Imperium are broken down, raw materials ripped from their bowels to feed your endless, roaring foundries. Eldar craft worlds are stripped for scrap. Tyrannid biofleets are incinerated by reality-tearing energy beams generated by star reactors of your own mad design. You look out into the vast, dark expanse of the universe through optical sensors mounted on 1,000,000 battle drones, seeing a reality waiting to be broken down, welded back together, and painted red. There are no blueprints left to steal, no tech priests left to mock, no limits to what your mad, hardwired instinct can create. As your megafortress plows into the heart of another doomed star system, leaving a trail of shattered worlds, glowing plasma burns, and drifting scrap in its wake, you unleash a booming, synthesized, planet-shaking roar into the cold silence of space. The ultimate, eternal, mechanical scream of a god who has converted the entire galaxy into one endless, beautiful, magnificent machine of war.